Hi everybody, this is John O'Brien with California Creedence at californiacreedence.com. Alright, so today I'm going to be talking about a few things from my garage, by the way, about what you might want to buy if you have some money from that tax return check, especially if you live in the United States. And so I wanted to go over a few of those things. Yes, I'm wearing my sweatshirt from University of California at Santa Barbara, and that's my UCSB is my alma mater, where I did study physics of sound, and it actually proved to be beneficial now that I happen to be doing sound and working sound. With my studies of physics of sound, I learned how frequencies are generated, how the air interacts with it, how it oscillates the circular chain in the ear, and then how it goes to the audio gyrus in the brain and how it's interpreted. Never thought I'd be using it for stuff like this, but nevertheless, I'm glad I learned it. So first thing, what would I buy? If I had, so this is coming from our band's perspective. The first thing that you would want to buy, and by the way, I do have as my screen my favorite band, Devo. Anyway, don't know why I'm mentioning that, but anyway, the first thing you'd want to buy is an iPad Pro and Multitracker. And the reason, well, not necessarily an iPad Pro, but an iPad with the USB-C interface, the connector on the bottom of it. Now you can't use Multitracker with an iPhone, so it has to be an iPad. So you'd want to use the iPad Air, or you'd want to use they do make a 10.8, I think, iPad with the USB-C, so that would be the cheapest option, would run everything just fine. So you can get that, or the iPad Air, or the iPad 11, or the iPad 12.9. We use the 11 as our backup, and then the 12.9 is our primary show on here. Whoops, yeah. This is what we use for our show. Thank God we haven't had to use our backups yet, because everything's worked pretty consistently. All right, and so the reason you want to get the USB-C connector at the bottom of the iPad is because it will integrate really well with the digital mixer. Because when you use a lightning connector, you have to get those camera connector things, and that just introduces yet another piece of technology that could fail on you. And so we used to run everything with a lightning connector. We only had a couple of fails, but nevertheless, I don't like having things go wrong. So iPad, first purchase, Multitracker iPad, whatever best deal you can get on that. Next purchase, if you have money left over, the next thing you want to get is a digital mixer that has an integrated audio interface. And there's a reason for that, because the audio interface that's integrated in your mixer is going to accomplish a couple of things. You're going to have a mixer for your band. You're going to have an audio interface that's going to connect and use Multitracker and your iPad as its own backing track machine, multi-channel, and it's also going to give you the auxiliary outs so that you can have in-ear monitoring, and you can route those very consistently. Now we use the UI24R, and I love the thing. I preferred it over the Behringer because the UI24R is an HTML-based interface. Runs a lot faster than an app-based, but nevertheless, the Behringer, I think it's XR18. The effects on that Behringer mixer are fantastic, and it's a lot cheaper than this. But the other thing that I really like is it has the XLR connectors for your auxiliary outs, so that you can use just a basic mic cord to be able to connect your in-ears if you have a wired setup, which I'll get to in just a moment. But anyway, so you iPad with the USB-C connector, audio interface integrated with your digital mixer, you're well on your way to a fantastic, high-tech, consistent running backing track band. But then the next thing, if you have money left over on that check, the P2 by Behringer. The P2 is a really good thing to buy, because that's going to give you your in-ear monitor. And with the in-ear monitors, you're going to be able to connect your P2 to the auxiliary out, and it has a combination quarter-inch or XLR, so that you can use whichever cord. But the reason that I like to go XLR to XLR is you're not introducing any adapters or anything that could potentially fail. There are people that will try to go with a alternate to the P2, like they'll get the Behringer P1 and they're just looking to save a couple bucks, that would be a waste of money, because those don't necessarily do exactly a perfect job like the P2s would do if you're going to be tethered to this mixer. So I would suggest, if you had the extra money, you got the iPad, you got the digital mixer, you just really need to get things out to the band members. These are great to buy. It will tether you to this mixer, so it works great for drummers, bass players, keyboards. The singer and guitarist may have a little bit of a problem with it, and that's where we come in with the next thing. If you have money left over after buying all this good stuff, then this is the wireless in-ear monitor. It works just like an XLR cord that's tethered, just like the P2, but it's wireless. So you'll see on my Love Shack, where I'm doing the video, or I'm doing the song Love Shack, and I'm going out and about in the crowd, I'm connected with one of these XVIVE U4s, because I'm hearing the click and everything in my ears, in my in-ear monitor, while I'm going out and about. So this would be the wireless alternative to a P2. They're a lot more expensive, but nevertheless, if you had the extra money to buy it, that's the next thing that I would buy. So first priority, iPad. Next priority, digital mixer with an audio interface. Then next thing, P2. And then the next thing is a wireless kind of a P2, which would be the U4, which is significantly more expensive than the P2s. So let's say after buying all that stuff, I still have money left over. So I am, and this is an opinion, I am not of the opinion that I don't really favor the stick line array speakers that are on a stick. I've done sound for bands with those line array speakers, and honestly, first of all, the horizontal throw wasn't good enough for me. It didn't wow me. I didn't really have like, wow, these sound amazing. The other thing is that the frequency spread just didn't really satisfy me. I didn't feel like I had a real consistent control over the overall frequency spectrum. Now, the throw out to the audience was good. The horizontal throw was not too spectacular, and the frequency distribution wasn't all that good. So I checked out the iP300s by Turbosound, and quite frankly, it acts similar to the throw of a line array, but it also has a horizontal throw that's pretty incredible. Not to mention the fact that it has a couple of 6-inch, yes, they're called woofers, and they really do put out some amazing low frequencies. It's amazing how hard it hits at 50 hertz, and the SPL is just a little under 130. Even though it's only a 600 watts amp inside, it could still service up to like 150 people. And it's plenty loud, or even more. But I would say, you know, conservatively 150 people up to, you know, and it's got a great sound. So it covers this frequency spectrum. It has a good horizontal throw, and it functions a little bit like a line array as well. And then with that, and you have two of these connected to each other, you can still have your stereo field. It's got a rich frequency spectrum, but if you're needing that really deep sub, then that's where this would come in. My last thing, or second to last thing, if you still have money left over, you only need one. If you're using two of these, you only need one of these. And I actually have a video that's demonstrating what two of these and one of the M15B by Turbosound, 2000 watt with an amazing 4-inch voice coil, can put out some serious noise. The big thing that people like is the Bluetooth connectivity, so you can alter things via Bluetooth. This does not have it. That's why it's a little lower in cost, but it has mechanically and amp-wise, it's a fantastic beast. But here's the thing. At 90 hertz, this one will, just the way it's situated, at 90 hertz, the valley or the cliff is pretty significant. So between 90 and 100 hertz, it really falls off significantly. But the cool thing is the iP300 can actually handle that, because it can go down plenty far enough to have a decent crossover with this. You wouldn't even need a crossover if you put these two together. So and it still sounds amazing, and it can go very loud. So those are the things that that's the order from iPad to the speakers. And then there's just a little fluff on here. And so I did a show where I ran a couple of iP300s and a sub, and went for 4 hours straight, did sound for a band running this little system. And I use these little Joyo. It's like a wireless, but it's an XLR cable. And I had these go the out and to the inputs of here. So in other words, instead of having a XLR cord strewn across the stage to go to each one of these, it was just wireless. I plugged these in. Now, you have to have, for the way I had it set up, you had to have at least 2 sets of these. So these are a little bit what I would call fluff. If you have some extra money left over and you just want to throw in some kind of cool, convenient things, then you'd want to do that. But what you're looking at here is exactly what our band is using, and we sound great and people love us. And that's the last thing that I want to get to, is what you're investing in is you're investing in quality. So if you're looking to get a lot of gigs, one of the reasons bands break up is because they're just not busy enough. If you sound good and people can see that you're really committed to giving a really good sound, you will get the gigs that other bands are not getting, who are saying, well, we don't want to do that high-tech stuff. We don't want to do backing tracks. We just want to be authentic. That's fine, that's great, but they won't sound as good as you necessarily, because you're going to have a lot richer sound if you really focus on getting everything aligned quality-wise and technology-wise, and especially the front of house sound. The front of house is actually going to be what is going to get people's attention as to, does this band sound good? There can be an amazing guitarist who has amazing licks, but if the front of house is not sounding pristine, it simply will not be appreciated by crowds that don't fully understand. So that's one of the reasons why when you go to see a movie, the movie might not be all that good, but they really put a lot of money into the sound system, because that seems to be what gets people's attention and causes them to go, wow, you know, they enjoyed a movie that wasn't really that good. The reason is because the sound system was good. So if you have a decent band and a really good sound system, you will be making money. People will have you back. They would prefer to have your band than the other guy's band. And that's really what this is also about, is getting you the gig instead of the other guy. You know, that's a competitive nature, but that's just kind of how it is out there. Anyway, so if you have any questions or comments, obviously you may have differences of opinion. I'm only speaking from what we physically are doing with our band right now, with the equipment we have. We have a lot bigger sound system for bigger shows, but if you had something like this, your band would be plenty busy. All right, good luck to you in your music making and getting out there and playing, and thanks for watching.